The invitation arrived in my inbox on a rainy Thursday afternoon, just as I was finishing another 12-hour shift at the fire station. It was for my college friend's engagement party, a fancy gathering at the city's most expensive rooftop restaurant. I almost declined. I had spent the last 3 years rebuilding my life after losing my wife to cancer, raising my 7-year-old daughter Emma alone, and avoiding social events whenever possible. But my captain insisted I needed a night away from responsibility. "Go remind yourself that life still happens," he said. When I walked into the glittering ballroom that Saturday evening, I immediately sensed something was wrong. Conversations paused for a split second. Several former classmates exchanged knowing smiles. One of them, Tyler, approached with a grin that had always meant trouble. "Glad you made it," he said, clapping my shoulder. "We saved you a seat." He guided me toward a table in the corner where only one chair remained occupied. Sitting there was a woman in a soft blue maternity dress, one hand resting protectively over her very pregnant belly. She looked uncomfortable, not because of her pregnancy, but because everyone seemed determined to avoid sitting near her. The moment I pulled out the chair, laughter erupted from another table. Quiet enough to sound disguised, loud enough for me to hear. Perfect match. They're both damaged goods. Tyler suddenly found something fascinating across the room and disappeared before I could question him. For a moment, silence settled between us. "I'm sorry," the woman finally said with a tired smile. "Looks like we were both assigned the joke table." Her honesty caught me off guard. "I guess we were." She introduced herself as Sarah. I introduced myself as Daniel. Instead of dwelling on the awkwardness, I asked whether she wanted sparkling water or lemonade. She blinked in surprise before smiling again. "No one's asked me what I wanted all evening." I figured everyone deserves that much. As dinner continued, I learned pieces of her story. Her husband had died in a construction accident 7 months earlier, just weeks after discovering they were expecting their first child. Some relatives blamed the unborn baby for the stress that had supposedly distracted him at work. Others simply disappeared because grief made them uncomfortable. "So people see the pregnancy before they see me," she admitted, looking toward the city lights. "Sometimes I feel invisible." I understood that feeling better than most. "When my wife passed away," I quietly replied, "people stopped talking to me because they didn't know what to say. Eventually they acted like I carried bad luck." Sarah looked directly into my eyes. "Then maybe we are sitting at the right table after all." For the next 2 hours, the rest of the party faded into the background. We laughed over embarrassing childhood stories. We debated whether pineapple belonged on pizza. She confessed she had once dreamed of opening a bakery. I admitted my daughter believed every firefighter secretly owned a dragon. For the first time in years, laughing didn't feel like betraying my past. Across the room, however, the people who had arranged their little prank looked increasingly confused. They expected awkward silence. Instead, they watched genuine conversation. Eventually Tyler swaggered back with several others. "So, Danny," he announced loudly enough for nearby guests to hear, "having fun playing stepdad already?" The table erupted with cruel laughter. Sarah lowered her eyes. I slowly stood. The room grew quiet. "You know," I began calmly, "when I arrived tonight, I wondered why grown adults still acted like high school bullies." Nobody answered. "You thought sitting me beside a pregnant widow would embarrass me." Several smiles faded. But here's what actually happened. I turned toward Sarah. "I met someone who's stronger than anyone else in this room." Then I faced everyone again. She lost her husband while carrying their child, yet she still found the strength to smile at complete strangers. The silence became heavier. You wanted to humiliate her because her life doesn't fit your picture-perfect social media stories. Nobody moved. I've spent my career pulling people from burning buildings. Fire doesn't care how much money you have, what car you drive, or how popular you were in college. I looked around the room. But character shows itself long before any emergency. Tyler attempted an awkward laugh. "Come on, man. It was just a joke." "No." My voice remained steady. "A joke makes everyone laugh." I gestured toward Sarah. This only made one person feel unwelcome. An older woman from another table slowly stood. Then another. One by one, guests who had stayed silent all evening walked over. A grandmother hugged Sarah. Another guest apologized for never introducing herself earlier. Even the groom approached Tyler with obvious disappointment. "I didn't know you planned this," he said firmly. "You owe both of them an apology." Tyler's face turned bright red. His friends quietly slipped away. The engagement party never truly recovered, but something better replaced the awkward atmosphere. People gathered around Sarah, not because they pitied her, but because they finally saw her. Before leaving, the bride handed Sarah a small gift bag filled with baby clothes she had secretly purchased for a charity drive. Others promised meals after the baby's arrival. Someone offered free legal advice regarding insurance paperwork. Another guest volunteered to paint the nursery. Kindness spread faster than cruelty ever had. As the evening ended, I walked Sarah to her car. She smiled. "You know," she said, "I almost stayed home tonight." "I'm glad you didn't." She hesitated before asking, "Would your daughter really like to meet someone who wants to open a bakery?" I laughed. "Only if you're prepared to answer 1,000 questions about cupcakes." "I think I can handle that." Months later, Emma proudly helped decorate cookies beside Sarah while her newborn son slept peacefully nearby. Neither of us had expected that cruel prank to change our lives. The people who arranged it wanted two lonely strangers to become the night's biggest embarrassment. Instead, they accidentally introduced two wounded hearts who reminded each other that kindness always has the final word, and that the deepest regrets belong not to those who are mocked, but to those who choose to mock others in the first place.